Now, let's get to dealing with the matters that we have today for discussion. And today, we will do as we did last week, we'll do a first segment, the first special hour. And in this first special hour, we are talking to the police, we are talking to CODEO, we are talking to civil society, and we're talking to the Electoral Commission. They will speak to us about what they make of the special vote and how it went, but more particularly, the security, the Peace Council, and civil society, including especially CODEO, will also assist us to prepare us for December 7, which is the most crucial day. So to start with today, we have here in the studio from the police service, Dr. Benjamin Agojo. He's Agojo, Dr. Benjamin Agojo. He is the Director of Operations at the Ghana Police Service. We also have here, representing CODEO, Sheikh Armiyao Shaibu, a member of CODEO's advisory board. We have also Professor Ranford Jampo. He's a senior research fellow at the IEA. He teaches political science at the University of Ghana. The EC will join us shortly. Then when we are done with the first special segment, then we have 3 hours. Today we are doing the show up to 1 o'clock. We have 3 hours when I will host my usual suspects. We're joined by the NPP's Mark Mainu. Of course, Abdul Malik Kwekubako will join us. Felix Kwachi Ofosu, Deputy Minister of Communications, will also join us. And then Atik Mohammed, of the General Secretary of the PNC, will also join us. There are some other people that we may be speaking to on the phone as we discuss the issues that have come up for discussion. Now, gentlemen, good morning and welcome to the studio.
Good morning.
Thank you very much. And having met my TA in 1999 or so at Legon in the religious department. So long, and nice to meet you today.
Nice to meet you
Great,
too.
great to have you. Thank you all for coming. Now, to start with, I want to start with CODEO, rather. We were going into a special voting exercise, meaning it ought to be very special, of course, for special people, quote unquote, special in the sense that they have to vote so that on the day of elections they can discharge their duties, and these include officers of the EC. Somehow, it didn't turn out to be that special. I don't know what CODEO has to say about how the special voting went. As I indicated earlier, 92,000 were able to cast their votes. The total number expected to vote was 126 or 27,000, if you like. I'll give the full details shortly. So what do you say?
Well, thank you very much. I think that from CODEO perspective, we received the information with some ambivalence. Ambivalence in the sense that it gives us some regrets because if you look at our electoral environment at the moment, the political environment is very charged with tension, but not just tension that emanates from the level of suspicion that we have. And so therefore, you would expect the election management body to put in place so much plans as to reduce to the barest minimum grounds for people to suspect it. For us, that is the area of worry. But I say ambivalence because the other side of it also, we are happy it has happened this way because then it has revealed the challenge. And the swiftness or the promptness with which the EC came out, at least to douse the tension, in other words, create an opportunity for those who could not cast their vote to cast their vote on coming Sunday. And also the opportunity to learn the lessons so that we can now, tighten up the arrangements very well so that we didn't see a repeat of that on the actual voting day. So for us, it's a matter of worry that even within the police service, those who are supposed to even now provide the security themselves, and if you watch some of the tone with which even police officers, now if you can hear their voice, then what do you expect from those who are not police people or the security people? It gives you a certain sense of worry.
Right.
Yeah, and so from a Kodeo perspective, that is our worry.
But when you learn that the provisional figures show that 72% were able to cast their votes, that suggests that that's a huge number. So it's not really the case that too many people have suffered the unfortunate situation.
76%.
For the elections, now if you take the presidential election, for example, we have just one constituency. The whole Ghana is one constituency.
That's true.
And so therefore, for the presidential candidate, the issue is about number. It is not about anything else. That is why, for all the presidential candidate, no single vote can be underestimated.
It's 50% plus one. That makes you a president.
Exactly. So if that is the case, then it is not an issue about the small number of people who could not vote. Assuming these people are going to be disenfranchised, what does it translate into in terms of the electoral fortune of Party A, Party B, or Candidate A or Candidate B? So it's so significant.
Right.
So we should not even think about whether the number is so infinitesimal or to downplay the value of any vote that would be lost. For me.
I'll return to you shortly, so we get to learn from Kodeo. And Kodeo is the foremost institution when it comes to election observation in this country. They do very well with that, and they're able to give us reports that are reliable that we can use. Now, when we return, I come back to you. I'd like you to tell us from your preliminary observations of what happened, on Thursday. Do you have hope that Sunday will turn out well? And when you use that to sort of forecast what is expected to happen on December 7, are you really worried? Let me find out from Doc. Now, some of your officers were so displeased. In fact, some of them issued threatening, words. How did you feel about the whole thing? And how do you feel now? Are you satisfied that everything is in check?
Thank you very much, and good morning to your cherished listeners. As a police institution, we are guided by rules and regulations. And I believe that as a professional institution, I will say that the kinds of utterances that our personnel made, irrespective of whatever their rights are, may not have been the best or may not be the best.
Okay.
Because we are supposed to show some kind of class. People who are able to withstand some kind of pressure and able to soak pressure.
When your vote is under threat.
Hold on.
You will lose your cool.
Hold on. This is. Remember that as we sit here now, there are arrangements for them to vote. So if they had taken their time, they would have known that even the Inspector General of Police did not vote himself. I have not voted myself, but you didn't hear my voice, okay? Because we know that no matter what happens, arrangements will be made for everybody to cast their votes.
Okay.
And maybe if you...
Which was your polling station?
My polling station is at Mile 7 police station.
Mile 7.
Mile 7 police station.
You went there and tell us what happened. What did you experience?
Let me first say that we submitted our names, and there are some police officers definitely who did not. Let's agree with that. There are some police officers, there are people in my office who said, well, I know that I'm not going to travel. I work always in Accra here during elections time. Last election, I didn't go out, and therefore this election, I know I'm not going out, so I didn't submit my name. So there are people who did not, but they will vote on the 7th anyway in Accra. All right? So some of us also submitted our names, which did not reflect, but we knew even at that point, that there was going to be some arrangement because we were in touch with EC. I have been the one getting in touch with the EC. I submitted the police name, the police list, and I have always been in touch with them. And when this problem came up, I was the one who went there, and they gave me all the information and the other options available to us. And as I speak to you now, there are plans for everybody to vote. If your name was captured and you saw your name, and for one reason or the other you could not vote, you have the opportunity to vote tomorrow. And if your name was not captured, on that day, you are going to be allowed to travel wherever your vote is to go and vote. That is what the police has decided. So, well, I agree that people may not have been pleased when they did not see their names here and there. But you see, when you belong to a professional institution, you must watch your utterance. That's what I can say for now.
So you're saying that for those who suffered and who may not even be able to continue the process tomorrow, may not be able to vote tomorrow, they would have the opportunity to vote on December 7th.
On December 7th.
And that certainly will affect the process. How you particularly are going to police the elections.
Now, so we, at this moment, are trying to reorganize our deployment plans, which we are doing. That is why, even from here, I'm going back to the office.
Okay.
We are trying to reorganize it in such a way that if your vote is in Volta region, maybe I come from Vakpo. If my vote were at Vakpo, and for one reason or the other, I could not bring it here for one reason or the other, it meant then that I may have to be deployed to that area to be able to vote. And that is what the IGP has decided.
But it could be the case that your expertise would have been needed in one of the hot spots.
Yes, maybe I could handle some hotspots within that area as well. Because by voting, we are going to be giving some preferential treatment wherever we go. So assuming I go to Pando area, which is not a hotspot anyway, but assuming it were, so it will mean that I can take charge of that area and then rush quickly with my vehicle to Vakpo, just vote, and then I'm gone.
How easy or difficult is this rearrangement going to be? Because you didn't plan for this.
Well, of course, we didn't plan for it, but as a security institution, we always have a plan B. Just as the election, EMB has a plan B of maybe a second round, we also have some plan B in case this does not work. What is the other option? That is why within this short period, we have been able to come out with this kind of arrangement. I'm not saying that this is a very pleasant thing anyway.
Are you suggesting you anticipated anything could go wrong with the special voting so that you will now rearrange?
We did not anticipate that.
Because you mentioned plan B.
Yeah, I'm always saying that sometimes things do not work the way you plan them. All right? When your plan comes to contact, you must agree that certain things could go wrong. And therefore, much as you plan, you also think that, well, something could be wrong, so you have some contingency arrangements in case this one does not work.
Okay.
So the assurance I'm giving here, and that is from the authority, police authority, and for security agencies, all security agencies, is the fact that if your name was not captured in the special voters register, it means you can still not vote tomorrow. All right. But if it was captured, it means you can vote tomorrow. Now, if you are unable to vote tomorrow because your name was not in it and my name is not in it, it means that I should wait and vote at mile 7 on the 7th of December.
How did that even happen in the first place? That you're a security officer, you're supposed to be on duty on election day, and your name is not on the special voters list?
Well, I wish the EC were here so that
the EC is coming.
You could ask them. But the point is that I can tell you that I sent my name.
Okay.
I captured my number. I personally took the soft copy to the EC. Something may have gone wrong. I cannot explain. What I know is that there are arrangements for us to vote.
Interesting. Now, the EC issues a press statement this morning, press release dated today, December 3. And it's on the special voting on December 4. And it releases a provisional list of what happened on Thursday. In the Ashanti region, 19,710 were expected to vote. A total of 15,474 were able to vote. In the Greater Accra region, 25,273 were to vote. 16,474 voted. Over here, you might say there's a bit of a problem because 15,000, 25,000, and you have 16,000 only managing to vote. In the voter region, you had 14,485 registered to vote. Only 9,672 voted. In the central region, 10,358 were to vote. 7,451 voted. Western region, 7,016, 4,704 voted. In the Eastern region, 12,995 were to vote. 9,286 voted. In the Brong-Ahafo region, 13,716 were to vote. 10,721 voted. In the Northern region, 13,134 were to vote. 10,245 voted. Upper East region, 7,254 were to vote. 6,327 voted. And finally, Upper West region, 2,934 were to vote. 1,828 were able to vote. So if you look at all of this, it does suggest that apart from Greater Accra and one or two other areas, quite a good number were able to vote. 72%, 72.69% were able to cast their votes. Let me say welcome to Eric Japasu of the Electoral Commission Communications Department. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
We understand how busy you are now, and we are grateful that you're able to make time. Now, the EC says that they wish to emphasize that this figure that I put out is only provisional, and that as agreed at the Emergency Inter-Party Advisory Committee meeting held on Thursday, December 1, 2016, the special voting exercise will continue on Sunday, December 4, 2016, in all 275 constituencies. This exercise is for the following category of voters, and these are the people who will vote. 1, voters whose names are included in either the earlier special voters list or the updated one provided to the political parties. 2, persons who transferred their vote and whose name appeared on the special voters list but who could not vote on December 1, 2016, as Dr. Benjamin just mentioned. 3, persons who did not transfer their votes but whose names appeared on the special voters list in the constituency where they are registered to vote. And the EC further says that it must be noted that all voters whose names are included in the special voters list are legally part of the absent voters list at their original polling stations. Therefore, their barcodes would be deactivated and they will not be able to vote on December 7. Consequently, the EC urges everyone in the above listed categories to take advantage of this opportunity to exercise their franchise. Officers whose names are not on the special voters list at all should contact their respective commanders to be deployed to the polling stations where they registered to enable them vote early on December 7. Okay, Dr. Benjamin just mentioned that the Commission wishes to appeal to all political parties, security agencies, the media, and civil society to complement their efforts to raise awareness about the exercise to achieve a high level of participation. So this is from the Electoral Commission, signed by the gentleman who just joined us in the studio. Now, Dr. Jampo, Professor Jampo, tell us from what the EC has been able to do and what you also, as civil society following the process, what your concerns are.
Well, I'm happy Eric is here, and maybe he will tell us what went wrong. And then also, I was a bit surprised, and I was wondering whether those security officials who did not submit their name showed up at the polling centers and attempted to see whether their names were there. And so if they could not find their names,
then they raised, eyebrows. If they did that, I mean, that would be too bad. But if they didn't show up there, then that is fine. But generally, much as I want to commend the Electoral Commission for coming out quite timeously to assure everybody to be calm, I think we don't want to say that coming events cast their shadows. There are certain minor challenges, certain avoidable challenges that, in our view, the EC must sit critically to look at. I mean, going into this election, you are looking for a much display of competence, professionalism, experience, and dexterity on the part of EC, having been there for well over 20 years. And I know that they are working with human beings who are not angels. And the system sometimes, because hinges on human...
Are you trying to make excuses for them?
I am not. Because they work with human beings who are not angels.
You are commending them this morning. Nobody's commending them yet.
Hold on. Because they work with human beings, I mean, they may experience some of these challenges. But I'm saying that they are challenges that if the EC really wants to set up, they would avoid them. You don't want to go into this election with issues about irregularities recurring. I mean, issues about some of these minor infractions, minor omissions, and petty. We went there, we couldn't find our names and all. I mean, maybe going forward, what we may be thinking about doing will be that even with the special voters register, there may be some kind of, there would have to be some kind of exhibition. Go and check whether indeed your officers send your name. If you go and your name is there, then you make the complaint and then you get your name included. Because you do not want the tension that it created. And I'm happy that Doc here condemned, the kind of utterances that came from the mouth of some of the security agencies officials who are expected to be more professional. But of course, if your right is being taken away from you, it would be a source of concern and worry, and people would explode. But the point is, I believe the EC can do better.
Citizens before they are professional officers.
I know. So
if they meet such difficulties and frustrations, they should express them.
I know.
Why are they being condemned for expressing them?
Well, I don't think even though they are citizens, I mean, we are all equal in the first place, but we are all citizens too. But then some, per their training, are supposed to behave in a certain way. Okay. And
even when their right is being threatened, being taken away.
Well, not so to speak, but then I think they are supposed to behave in a certain way, and particularly knowing that, as he assured us, that they knew that definitely there were going to be arrangements to ensure that nobody got disenfranchised. Maybe they could have exercised a bit restraint and all that. But all in all, like I said, I commend the EC for coming out timeously to issue that statement. But they should be mindful that the election is going to be keenly competitive, and Ghanaians would be intolerant of such minor infractions and minor challenges.
I see. Now, Eric, now the speculation is that this is a clear demonstration of what you guys are putting all of us into in December, on December 7th. That if a special vote of such limited numbers, you can't handle it and handle it to perfection, we can trust you to take care of the 15 million voters on December 7th. That would be chaotic.
Thank you very much, Samson. Let me first sincerely apologize to my esteemed co-panelists and then the host and our cherished viewers for not being here on
Apology
time.
accepted.
There were some challenges. Yeah, let me come to the issue of the special voting. In assessing, okay, let me even first establish that the only thing special about the special voting was that, one, some categories of people, IEA, the police, the media, election officials, must vote. And then they must vote earlier than the rest of us come December 7th. Beyond this, all other rules pertaining to the election apply. Rules such as you must be a registered voter, your name must be on the voters' roll, and you must vote in the constituency where you are registered or have transferred your vote to, apply in all these cases. Now, having said that, let's look at the special voting and the way it turned out to be. In assessing an election to see whether it was a success or the otherwise, we look at some key issues, whether it was orderly, whether it was peaceful, whether all those people who were eligible to vote and turned out to vote had the opportunity to vote, and whether the outcome of the election is a true reflection of the choice of the people. Now, to the extent that this election we've not counted, neither have we declared the results, the last parameter, we'll put it aside. But on the others, it was peaceful, it was orderly across the 284 constituency polling stations. But in terms of the turnout, as you said, we are 72 out of the 100%. So, to the extent that some people who were eligible and turned out to vote couldn't vote, that was a downside to the election. So in all, fine, there were these irregularities, there were these challenges, but they were not that fatal, okay? It created that anxiety among people.
The major stakeholders, political parties, and even citizens, you should listen to them, that this never happened. We've had situations where there have been minor complaints about the special vote, but not to the point of the level that we saw on 1st December, and to have the election extended, the special vote extended. It never happened.
Yeah.
That's such a blight on your record.
Yeah, it is a blight on our record largely, but to some extent, to the extent that the election is a process, okay? And it is ongoing, and to such time that we finish the process, we cannot discount it. And we also don't discount the fact that in elections, there are bound to be irregularities and challenges. And if there is room, if there's a facility, if there are mechanisms for accommodating the challenges and the irregularities and getting it right, then I think we should.
You're talking about irregularities and challenges. People say this boils down to lack of preparedness. People say this is a demonstration of what some had expected. The Let My Vote Count people, the opposition had continually said that you were not ready. And this is a clear manifestation of your lack of readiness.
I would disagree, largely. I would disagree. The Electoral Commission is ready. You know, we had, when you look at the categories, you see, I wouldn't want to sound like we're passing the buck or trying to make it as a blame game. Getting it right will involve all the stakeholders playing their role and playing it right. Now, when you look at the challenges that we had these three categories of officials: election officials, the media, and then the security. And these challenges bordered largely on problems relating to the security not getting access to vote. Okay? We're all here, we witnessed the fact that the Electoral Commission had to bend the rules, okay, beyond the stipulated period for even accepting the list of special voters applicants.
And that's a major challenge.
In order
the law
to
says that you ought to have done that 42 clear days. And you seem to have breached all of that, particularly because, again, people say you were involved in unnecessary litigation and you wasted all your time in court.
Samson, I wouldn't know whether we should even address the issues of the litigation, because the issues of the litigation, to some extent, had their plus side, to the extent that all issues pertaining to the process, we could have formed the basis of election dispute petition after the election have been cleared and laid to rest. So to some extent, and this election disputes going to court, the challenges going to court, are legitimate part of the process. There are processes which are down to prevent us from the recourse to the use of illegitimate means of violence in addressing the problems. Okay?
Okay.
So
now let's hear from Kodeo again. And I ask, what did your assessment tell you? Boils down to blaming the EC, isn't it? Or it is those who were supposed to vote on the day. And are you confident of tomorrow and December 7?
I mean, if the impressions we get from all the presentations, including the EC, I mean, we accept that there is, the fact that about, say, close to 30% of people could not cast their vote is a downside of the whole thing. And we, like I said earlier on, given that our environment is very charged, in fact, close to election, you can feel it, and the suspicion level is very, very, very high. High because the two major political parties are so close in terms of their strength. And that is what makes the whole thing so keen. And what should also form our background mindset with which we are planning this thing is, you have post-election legal contestation that took us about 8 months. And emerging from that, a certain mindset had been created. In fact, that is the background to all the agitations. And for me, it was an advantage for the EC also to factor all those things into the plan, such that, and I insist, that the EC has a responsibility to reduce grounds for suspicion to the barest minimum. Because it's key. You see,
are they doing this?
For what has happened now, it further brings up the suspicion up. And it's giving those who already have suspicious grounds to be even be more suspicious. And for us, as an election observer team, we are so worried because our duty, our objective includes also ensuring a peaceful election. Now, what brings about violence is not so much even about laws, but about how people feel about the credibility of the results. And that is what must be very, very strong in our minds, so that we must put in place the plan that reduces suspicion so much that people who probably ordinarily would be suspicious would have also been catered for. But like I said, the good thing is that it has also given us the lessons now, like the EC itself has accepted, that as if we've tested the system, now we have seen that, look, if we don't handle matters well, this thing can happen to us. And now we'll go back to the drawing board and look at and I'm confident, I'm very happy that for the promptness with which emergency meeting was organized with the IPAC and agreeing that, look, it is possible for us to vote on Sunday to allow people to vote. So I think a lot of things need to go into the plan for the 7th.
Okay. Now, Eric, just a quick one. Do we understand the extension to be under the law that allows for postponement of a poll? Is that what you're doing? So that, like, for example, on election day, a very good example is on December 7, 2012. We had to postpone to the next day because the law allows so. Is that the same regime you have used?
This is typical of the adjournment of the election.
Okay. Right. Now, when I return to you, there are those who are raising issues that, now, are we sure that because of the removal of NHIS, cadres names and all of that in the voters register, from the voters register, December 7, are we not going to encounter even bigger problems that might throw, the election into some trouble? So you get ready to provide some answer to that. Now, you have been doing your drills and getting ready for everything. So are you ready? How many men are you sending out there? How are they ready to ensure that peace is maintained throughout? They keep the peace.
Yeah, first of all, let me address some issues that came up during the discussion. Prof, I can assure you that those who turned up for that special voters that special exercise were those whose names were captured. Those whose names were not captured, at least who did not submit their names, did not, because they knew that they were going to vote on the 7th of December.
Okay.
Now, another issue is that once you wear this uniform, you are a human being like any other person, but you've been marked. And your behavior is being watched, and therefore you cannot do it the way others do. So I may be insulted right now, but I cannot just slap the person who insulted me. And that is what we are talking about. Okay. And that is why we have internal regulations that guide our actions. Let me tell you, those who made those statements, if we could trace them, they could face internal disciplinary action, irrespective of whether their rights were violated or abused or whatever. They could go in, and irrespective of all the laws you have in Ghana, they will not come out.
To be punished for misconduct?
That is it. It is misconduct. You can't speak anyhow. You see, let me tell you, IG went there, he did not find his name. Assuming IG went on air and said all the things that the other people said, do you know that it could create security problems for this country? It could create security challenges.
But those
and that is the reason.
That
if
you
you
take them on the way you are suggesting,
that is the reason.
You may be violating their fundamental human right to free speech.
We are saying
and expression.
We are saying that you belong to a professional organization.
That's right.
And that is why you wear this uniform. You've undergone some training. You have sworn an oath to behave in a particular way.
Right.
All right? And that is how you are identified.
Okay.
And that is why we say, as a professional, you know that an institution will take care of your concerns.
Right. Now tell us
and you
about
could channel
the
these concerns. You can channel these concerns internally.
Okay.
So you could say, I did not have the opportunity to vote, and then they'll take care of it, just as we are doing now.
So maybe they thought you are not the one organizing the election. So if they have complaints,
well,
it will not
this
come
is not
to
the
you.
first time, so we can leave that aside. I just want to appeal to our colleagues out there that the administration is taking care of their concerns, and it's not the best to be speaking the way they did.
You guys have even had some rules on how to go about the
that
election
tells you
and everything.
The essence
so
to
tell
which
us
we
about
have
your preparedness. Yeah.
We have prepared both physically and psychologically and everything. And even this morning, as we speak here, there are policemen. There's a mechanized route march. I think they will even pass in front of this place as part of the route, moving through to build the confidence of the personnel and then also members of the public in the process. All right? Aside all the training and other things we have done, for the first time, we have worked with the EC, and I can give you a copy, to come out with election booklet. And the original
Election
copy...
Security Task Force, 2016 elections,
Yeah.
roles and responsibilities of security officer at polling stations.
Yes.
That's nice.
Now, and then I can assure you that, the interesting thing about this document was that even the EC chair herself made inputs into it.
Okay.
And that's the kind of collaboration we had. And we also have this for everybody who is going to polling station. And we've submitted, we've even distributed them to every security officer.
Okay.
Not just police, every security officer.
I find that you are not talking about only the responsibilities and the roles of the police, but you're talking about the role of the media and the polling agents and all.
Okay.
Well, what's supposed to be the role of the security typically? Typical role of the security at the post?
Typically the roles are captured here.
Right.
This is a general information, how we could even relate to the media, because as a police personnel, you don't just begin to talk to the media without knowing certain basic things.
Ensuring that the queue is orderly.
Very good.
Taking all necessary measures to prevent any activity that threatens to disrupt the process.
Yes.
They are to carry out lawful instructions of presiding or returning officers of the Electoral Commission.
So that you don't think that you are in charge.
Okay, they have to assist the disabled, vulnerable people and women with children. Yeah. They have to stand at the end of the queue at 5 p.m. prompt to ensure no person joins it after 5 p.m. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so these are some of them, and they are summarized here in the form of do's and don'ts.
And every officer has a copy.
Every officer has a copy. But beyond that, the very interesting thing that we've done this year is also come out with things like flyers and posters. And this is not the first time you found them here, because we started distributing them many weeks ago. Right. And then Kodio has been helping us distribute some of them, and other civil society organizations. And this is the first time we are doing this. And so for us, in terms of securing this election with the security generally, we are prepared to do it, and we've been working together with the EC and other civil society organizations.
I've just seen this rule, general rule of conduct. Yeah. It's strictly forbidding to transport or carry any type of weapon or weapons to a polling station, collation center before and during voting or the collation of the results. So you're talking about applying this to any voter, or is it the security persons you say they shouldn't carry
We're talking
weapons?
about both security and also other persons.
They can't carry weapons
You
there?
can't carry weapons there, except the security can only go there in terms of if the patrol, there's a problem there, and they go there to make an arrest.
Okay.
Fine. But the security man who is going to the polling station will not carry arms. Samson, as I was coming here, I had a sidearm, but I left it before entering this place.
Okay.
You understand? These are some of the basic things that guide our actions. That's why we are talking about professionalism. And besides that, one of the basic things we must understand in this year's election is the duty armlet that we have introduced. As I speak to you now, we are distributing them to the regions. I've not worn one here because we want it to be kept as in the dark as possible so that nobody replicates it. So on that day, a security officer on polling station will be identified by a special duty armlet, which we shall show, the media from Monday for them to see, and that will be too short a period for anybody to replicate. So these are some of the things that we've done, and for us, we believe that this year, more than ever, we are ready to secure the elections. But one of the things we should also understand quickly is the fact that we have observed certain triggers over the past few months. Even though there are no laws against them, we believe that Ghanaians should listen, at least for the sake of Ghana. For instance, one of them, I hear people say, when you finish voting, don't go, stay there. Maybe there will be no law against it, maybe. But even if there's no law against it, it doesn't make it right. Finish voting, go home. Don't crowd the polling station, because if you crowd the polling station, it will create problems, it will create triggers. Don't bus people to the polling station, because you turn the place to a bus stop. If every party is busing people there, it will create problems for us.
After all, they have their agents there, don't they?
So why would you bus people there? And then the next thing is that don't be riding motorbike 100 meters close to the place, because we've observed over the past years that people who commit some of these violent acts are the people who use motorbikes and do all kinds of things, and within a twinkle of an eye, they are gone with the motorbikes. So we as a security institution are going to really, really ensure that these things are implemented. Whether there is a law in black and white against it or not, we will do it. And those who think that it is otherwise can also do whatever they like. But we will ensure that these laws are implemented. And we will not allow people to crowd the place. We will not allow people to bus people to the polling station or close to it. People should have their free will to walk to the place or otherwise.
And when you go to the polling stations, you should expect that the men and women in uniform are expected to also put up a certain very orderly conduct.
Definitely.
And to have some respect for you. Among them, they say that they should treat everybody fairly. They must be open and honest. They must provide a responsible, effective, and high-quality service with honesty and integrity. Okay, that's the police's motto. Be a team player. Use minimum force only when absolutely necessary. Do not keep glued to your mobile phone or take videos of voting processes while on duty at the polling station. Refuse gifts, presents, favors, gratitude. Does it include the water that is served and the drinks that are served sometimes by the political parties that come around?
They are not allowed to take anything from them at all. That is why, as we speak now, Samson, every policeman's ration has been paid to their account. And so it is up to you to go and take your money by
because that may be interpreted as seeking to influence the security officer in the performance of his or her duty. Do not leave your polling station during voting or before counting and declaration of results. And then finally, after voting is over, ensure the security of the ballot boxes and escort them to the designated collation centers. That brings me to just a 30 seconds response from you. Somewhere in the Upper East, Upper West region, when they finished the special voting, they had to keep the ballot boxes in the police station. And the voters decided to stay. I understand for the opposition particularly, decided to stay and keep vigil because that police station, where the room where the boxes were kept, does not have a window. There's a security breach. The window is broken. So they said they couldn't trust, so they had to stay there overnight.
All right. I heard that, but we are dealing with that issue. We have to be very sure that the picture they painted is the right picture.
We have seen the pictures. The window is broken.
But you see, we are living in an age where you can take any picture from anywhere and show it. We have something on our WhatsApp where the IGP is supposed to have gone to Togo and other places, which is not. So all these things we must be very careful about. When we see pictures of election materials which were duly delivered, being taken and said that they were arrested and all that,
thank you.
We must be very
I said
careful.
I was leaving you there, but you have mentioned one thing which is very important because it's out there and it's particularly on social media that the IGP has gone to the borders and has given some instructions. You are saying that is not correct.
I'm saying that.
What have you heard and what is the correct version?
I have it on my WhatsApp as well. And I can tell the whole world that
what you have on your WhatsApp is that one.
Is that IGP has traveled to the border around Togo and to speak to SEPS officers, police officers, and other places to allow Togolese foreigners to come in. I tell you, it's untrue. And IGP has not traveled out since, for the past 1 week, he hasn't even moved out of Accra.
Thank you.
Let alone. So please, this is not true. And these are some of the challenges we have with this election. Social media is one of the challenges we are having with this election because it can create more problems. Look at the way people handle that issue.
It certainly will not be banned on election day.
We have no authority to ban it, but we are saying that we must watch it. Because if we don't watch it, it can create problems for this country.
In Gambia, it was banned and it was the ban was lifted shortly after. Very interesting developments happening there. Now, what would you say? Are you confident going into tomorrow and also on December 7th? Are you confident?
Well, I am, but just to say that today, Doc, you do all. My student will say you do all. You've done all the discussion. I think that going forward, I'm sure the EC would set up and would ensure that some of these minor infractions or minor challenges do not occur. As civil society organization, I know that our own contribution to making this process, to ensuring that this process becomes a success from now until December 7th and afterwards will be that we'll continue to present our independent platform for the discussion of issues that are of critical importance to Ghanaians. Will continue for the sake of Ghana to remain as independent arbiters in spite of attempts to gag us by tagging us and sometimes even subjecting us to malicious voice concoctions and imitations just to seek authenticity or sometimes also undermine integrity and all that. We will continue to educate Ghanaians about the need for them to be peaceful and to exercise their franchise and to ensure that we guard jealously against democratic relapse. We would also continue to remain as voices of reason and worthy moderating influences within the body politic. We'll do all these to support the process and to ensure. I don't have a feeling that we're going to go through implosion or anything untoward is going to happen after December 7th. And so we want to assure Ghanaians to be calm, but we call on the EC and all stakeholders to do their best and leave the rest to God.
I see. Now, just what would you say as civil society to groups like Let My Vote Count Alliance, who say that what happened on the 1st of December clearly indicates a certain grand plan to disenfranchise about 100,000 temporary staff recruited by the EC. There's 100,000 temporary staff recruited by the EC. And they make a conclusion here on that point. And let me read that. It says that should those who are not able to vote, who are personnel of the EC, temporary staff, decide to vote at the expense of their assigned duties, the voting process could potentially turn chaotic due to a shortage of key personnel to oversee the voting process. And you think this is a genuine concern?
Well, I think it's rather a bit far-fetched, and but sometimes people make these legitimate, in quote, concerns because of certain challenges or certain occurrences, and so I think like my colleague here, senior colleague here said, let's not give room for anybody to have that perception or to confirm a certain suspicion. I don't think it is something that we want to go, want to do in the lead up to this election. And so again, it's a wake-up call for the Electoral Commission. Mrs. Charlotte Osei has a fine opportunity to carve a niche for herself. Let her grab the opportunity and ensure that nothing untoward happen. This should be a wake-up call. I'm happy about the timeous manner with which they rallied all around the table and then looked at the way forward, and they are doing. Let's not go that route in December 7th.
Okay, Mr. Jakwasu, obviously from the provisional results that we have had as to the total number of people who were able to vote and the number that is left to vote, you would say that people should treat this particular alarm with contempt, because the figures does not support that 100,000 more temporary staff are waiting to vote and might not vote.
Samson, I wouldn't say we should treat it with contempt. We should handle it with concern, as we are doing, because every single vote counts. I heard you when I was coming, rightly so, that for the presidential is 50% plus 1.
That's so.
So it will not be good, it will not kneel to the image of the EMB to have some eligible voters who are around and desirous to vote not getting the opportunity to vote due to our doings. It is not proper, so none should be treated with contempt. But with regards to our temporal officials who could not vote, if we are expecting the security, who have as it now, redeploying their personnel to areas such that those people would get the opportunity to vote on the 7th of December, then more should be expected from us in relation to our people.
The key part of their concern should also be noted that if you want EC staff to vote on the day of the elections, that obviously does not augur well. You should make all efforts to include them and have them vote tomorrow.
No, we've not had a large number of such people not voting, and this arrangement is made specially for the security because they constitute a large number of people who could not vote. But that is not to say if there is an election official or a media person who could not vote, reports at the polling station tomorrow, whilst his name is on the register at the right polling station in the right constituency, he or she will be denied the right to vote.
Okay.
Or will be carried on board. But having said that, as I indicated earlier, once we expect the security to redeploy their people, which is what an easy task anyway, and they have agreed and have engaged their people and they are going to do the redeployment, more should be expected from the EC. That on election day, should the need arise for some of our officials to go to other polling stations to vote, that wouldn't be too much of a problem. Because when you look at the postings of our officials, hardly have we posted people outside their constituencies. Okay,
no,
people
but that's
have been
the problem.
posted.
The danger they are raising.
Yeah, we haven't posted them outside their constituencies or districts.
Yes,
maybe outside their polling
in his
stations.
constituency or her district, he should not be saddled with having to do one other duty in addition to.
Yeah, you see, Samson, this is not the first time. You see, when you look at the procedures and the fact that we have even reduced the number of voters at a polling station, we are not expecting a busy polling station from morning till 5 p.m. in terms of the turnout. Okay. And there's always this provision that should it become necessary for a polling assistant to go out, maybe to ease, maybe to have some meals, there's always the arrangement for some other person to step in. That has always been part of the arrangement.
Now, before you take leave of us, last week commissioners were here, deputy commissioner and commission member were here, and they gave very good education. There's this particular education that I'm informed that you may need to repeat for emphasis about voters who have lost their IDs, their voter ID cards.
Oh, okay. One, in our jurisdiction, even without a voter's ID card, you can vote.
How?
You go to the polling station, we have a name reference list, and we have the main register. Now, the name reference list and alphabetical arrangement of what? Names on that list. So when you go, you just report to the name reference list officer. You may have to wait for a while because if there's a queue, made up of people with their ID cards, it's easier to locate their names in the register and facilitate them. So if you don't have an ID card, you only have to wait for your turn. Now, once your name is located, you'll be referred to the main register where the biometric device is. So it is at that point that they use the device to check your name on the main register. You authenticate and you go through the process.
Okay.
But having said that, the facility for the replacement of ID card still exists. You pay 5 Ghana cedi at any GC Bank branch, and you go to the district office of the polling station where you vote. You go there and you have a replacement ID card.
Okay, so between now and 7th December, people can go and have
it's
their
a facility
IDs
that has started from January and
okay.
it's ongoing.
There were complaints. People try to replace and it takes them a while. So maybe it's
yeah,
too
you know,
late.
it's a web-based application. At times you go,
Okay.
the system is down. You only need to have to.
Thank you very much. But you can assure, I mean, in 30 seconds, you can assure voters and the entire world watching and listening to us this morning that the EC is doing everything in its power to ensure that this process, what we saw on first, does not repeat itself, and that the process will go on smoothly and then end very peacefully.
Yeah. I think the EC is up. We've witnessed what just happened during the special voting, but we know when you look at the special voting and what we're going to do on December 7th, it's a different game altogether. To the extent that on 7th of December, people have already registered, they've gone through the exhibition process, they know their polling stations, and they are desirous to vote in their own constituency so that they can determine who is their member of parliament and then choose a president as well. So one, we're not expecting people to carry their voter's ID card, go outside their constituencies and try to vote at places where they are not supposed to vote. Those who want to vote outside their constituencies where they originally registered by now would have taken advantage of the transfer window and have transferred their votes. Right. And also, you know, it is an offense if you are not registered, your name is not on the electoral roll, you don't go to a polling station to vote, as we witnessed when people whose name were not on the register also went to polling stations and wanted to vote. Okay. So it will be a different ball game.
Thank you.
7th December will be fine.
What does CODEO, the Coalition of Domestic Election Observers, what does it have to tell Ghanaians as we go into tomorrow and to December 7th?
I think quickly, let me
thereafter.
Yeah, let me address. I mean, those who have, I mean, the direct stake in the elections and the other political parties. I think that let my vote count and the way they talk about the suspicion. I think it's an exaggerated something that we must all agree that the EC does not have any grand intention to actually create an opportunity for one particular party. I think they have grounds to be suspicious, but I think it's exaggerated. And I think that as a nation, we should all. You see, managing election is not a small thing. And I think we should, where we have reached, we must all be supportive and see how we can all support the Electoral Commission to be able to give us a peaceful election. Ghanaians must be law-abiding. They must understand our electoral laws, the rules and regulations, the do's and don'ts. Particularly, when we vote, we expect that you cast your vote, leave the scene, go back home. Like it's been allowed during counting, you can come and witness the counting. And I think if we are able to do so, we have only one Ghana, and we want to protect the peace of our country, and election should not plunge us into violence.
Thank you very much. Your very final 30 seconds, what would you say to citizens as they get ready?
Thank you very much. I'd like to say that election security is a collective responsibility. All of us are talking about security of this election. All of us are talking about peaceful elections, but it's a collective responsibility. And I believe that much of it also rests on the political parties. They must also be responsible. I've always said that political parties should not only restrict themselves to the choboys and all that, also telling their supporters about being responsible is one of their duties. So go out there and don't incite people. Stop inciting your members. Things that do not exist. Please do not fabricate stories and other things like the one that we spoke about. The IGP.
And this is directly,
at the end of the day,
this one is directly about you, and from someone who is very concerned. He says, "I'm shocked at the posture of the police official in your studio. He laments the behavior of the police personnel who vocally protested their inability to vote as being against the rules, yet Yet here he is saying even no law prevents the public from being within the precincts, the police will act unlawfully and restrict the lawful movements of citizens. Does he not realize that he is bound to act only in accordance with law? The polling station is clearly defined, and being outside its precinct is not the same as being within its periphery. The law says voting process should be conducted in the full glare of the general public. So if the public is not there because the police has driven them away, how could that be done? He hasn't spoken well at all, and they should be careful not to create problems themselves.
Well, I don't know whether you expect me to react to this. The point...
I want you to hear what
that is his view, and I respect his views. There's nothing wrong with expressing your view, but the
peaceful
fact
assembly is not a crime.
The fact is that, let me give you a typical example of Mile 7 police station. Mile 7 police station is a place you can go and vote, but will not allow you to crowd that place. Your duty is to vote, finish, and go. 5 o'clock.
Peaceful assembly is not a crime.
Peaceful assembly is guided by rules and regulations. It depends on the kind of peaceful assembly you want to make, because we have the laws governing assemblies. Okay, so you don't just go and assemble anyhow, anywhere. If you want to stretch it, it will mean that you can even go and assemble in front of somebody's house.
No, on election day, that's a special situation.
The special situation
one does not need to seek, what do you call it, to notify the police to gather at a polling station.
No, we are not talking, the election on that day, you are not supposed to just go and gather. You are supposed to go and vote. You understand? And then the rules are that go, vote, finish, go back, and when it's 5 o'clock, come back and observe. I think that is it. Okay. But any other thing is unlawful. Okay. Of course, it's unlawful. And talking about police personnel, we are only saying that, we are not saying that they don't have the right to express their views. We are only saying that the manner in which they express it is what we are talking about.
Thank you. Professor Jampo, 30 seconds.
Well, in transitional democracies, it is normal for the threat of democratic relapse to occur anytime there's going to be an election. It's quite normal. People would go to the churches and pray, and people would be scared. Elections
it shouldn't be deemed as normal when the IGP can't find his name. Well,
well, but as I'm hoping that as we climb higher the ladder of democratic progression, as we have practiced, we have been under fourth Republican democratic dispensation for well over 20 years. We should be seeking to climb higher the ladder of democratic progression so that election do not really become an issue. In this regard, let the EC set up and do its work well. Let the police, the security agencies set up and do their work well. Let CSOs and all stakeholders, including ordinary Ghanaians, let us all ensure that we contribute our quota in making this election a success, because at the end of the day, we have only one Ghana.
That's right. Thank you very much, gentlemen. And I'm sure that our viewers, audiences all over the world have benefited immensely from the knowledge that you share and the information that you share with them. My guests have been from the police, Dr. Benjamin Agojo, who is Director of Operations at the Ghana Police Service. Also, from CODEO, the Coalition of Domestic Election Observers, the foremost institution of election observation in Ghana, is Sheikh Aremiyao Shaibu. He's a member of the advisory board. Then from the IEA and from the University of Ghana, you are in charge of Europe Studies. European Studies, right, at the University of Ghana. So you are no more at the Political Science Department.
I am there first.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much. So Dr. Ransford Jampo, also a Senior Research Fellow at the IEA. And then Eric Kofi Japasu is with the Electoral Commission. He heads the communications wing. And they know that I admire them. But when it gets to some of these situations, thank you all very much. So we take a break here, and then when we return, I have got Abdul Malik Kweku Bako, Editor-in-Chief of the New Crusading Guide newspaper, Felix Kwachio Fosu, Deputy Communications Minister, Atik Mohammed of the PNC General Secretary, Peter McMenu of the NPP, and we are going to discuss the issues that we have tabled for your attention. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.